My new book coming out in a month called Day Trading Attention is the follow-up to Jab, 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 Right Hook.
You were gonna name it
Jab, 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 Left Hook. But I realized that day trading attention really captures what I want for all of you. We are now in a world that is, and so everyone here who understands how to do organic social media, what video and picture or written word works better on Facebook versus Instagram versus Snap versus YouTube versus LinkedIn, that framework is for all the OGs in this room. That is what television, radio, and the print and direct mail were. It is the new world order. It is where the attention of society is. And I think all of you in here know, it's not just a kid thing, right? There's unlimited, I sell to a lot of 60 to 9-year-olds in many of the demos and things I work on. We crush on Facebook, crush. And don't forget, that started as college kids. And so, it's not that other mediums are dead. To me, the thesis of day trading attention is, why would you want to pay more money to make something happen that you could do for less? That sounds incredibly irrational and not logical. And so I'm trying to help the world. I went very detailed. I also am not a great reader. I just read my audiobook in LA for a week. It was a grind. And it was funny, I've read all my books for my audiobook, except Jab, 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 Right Hook, because it was so visual. It was interesting. It was the first book that I've ever written that in the studio booth reading, there was a level of me being a little bored. And you would think that's bad. Who wants to write a boring book? But it wasn't that. It was that I went so technically deep in it because I felt like the time was right. I know as I sit here with everyone here today, and I have great hopes, and when I speak, my only dream is that someone can leave with something that brings them value. I don't know what else someone would do up here.
Yeah.
You know, and so similar to this book, I am 100% positive that whoever is best at organic social media across the 10 platforms. How many people here are in a B2B business? Raise your hands. So those hands, those 20 hands, you can't imagine what LinkedIn is right now. It's everything. I would never do another trade show. You could fire your whole sales staff if you were great at LinkedIn marketing. It's absurd how big that platform is.
I'm a LinkedIn stalker.
It's huge. And it's not DMing and spamming people, it's content, the way you put out on Facebook and things of that nature. So I'm aware that people, I'm looking around and I'm aware that some people are like, okay, like, really, like, it's so real, it's uncomfortably real. So I tried to write the Bible for it, because I think it's the now, and I think the faster people understand what it means, the quicker people will get there. And I'll tell you what happened. If I may get a little nerdy with you, social media for the first 12, 13 years, the last kind of, call it 2006 to 2020, those 14 years, social media worked like email marketing. You tried to amass as many followers as you could, and then when you would post, a percentage of those people would see it. That's how it worked. I was an early investor in Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, like I've been in it.
Liquid Death too?
Liquid Death.
That was an employer of yours, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Man, I need to come work at baby.
Now social media is different. The TikTokification of every platform is now here. The way social media works now, if you're sitting here and you're borderline inspired to be like, you know what, I'm gonna take Gary on his bluff. I may go back for my organization or the things I'm passionate about and start to post a little more on social. I'm not gonna demonize it for what I politically am worried about. I'm gonna look at it for what it is, which is an empty vessel that humans fill. What you'll learn is that if the quality of the content is good, it will find its audience. There are people in this room, I have 15 million followers on TikTok that I've worked very hard since it was Musical.ly, before it was TikTok, amassing. Yet, tonight, I could post something that only gets 60,000 views, and you, sitting here today, inspired by these words, may create an account and post your first post, and if it's good, it may get 2 million views. That is a level of meritocracy around the message that is profound, and the biggest opportunity in the history of marketing, in my opinion.
How do those people get ready for a new shopping experience in store, or how do they prepare themselves for the future?
It is so much more fun to put yourself out of business before someone else does it for you. That's how. I was on stages like this as a youngster, begging and pleading bookstores to pay attention to having a website and to taking on social media and to doing Google AdWords, and they dismissed Amazon. They put yesterday on a pedestal. They said, Gary, you don't get it. This is 1997, Gary, at the Chamber of Commerce event in New Jersey. They're like, Gary, you don't get it. People like to go into the store and touch and feel it. I said, friends, you don't get it. People like better prices and convenience. And so what do I say to that person, my man? I say that unless you go on the offense, someone else is going to. I get how you grew up. I get how you wish the world was. The problem is that's not how the market responds. Like, I think that this is a very basic question that has played out 100 times. I spoke in Florida years ago. I was an early investor in Uber. I missed the the great mistake of my, literally I was investing a lot at the time, and Travis, one of the co-founders of Uber, was one of my best friends. My first book I ever wrote, the only person I acknowledge in the whole book besides my family is Travis, because he had down period before Uber, and he like helped me with the book. My homie. And I passed twice on the angel round of Uber. If I wrote the $25,000 to $50,000 check that I normally was writing back then, I would have made $500 million.
Ooh.
That's called a mistake.
So back in the day.
But to finish that thought, I apologize. I spoke in 2000, I don't want to make it up, maybe 11, 12. I spoke at the Black Car and Taxi Convention. This was about a year and couple months into Uber's run. It was in San Francisco, New York. It was still not everywhere. And I gave a lot of talk of like, this thing's coming. And when I tell you a room like this laughed me off the stage. And they laughed me off the stage because of naivete. When I went into Q&A, one of the guys, maybe the third guy, said, Gary, that was very compelling, but you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, educate me, sir. He goes, we've got the politicians in our pocket. I said, sir, how? He said, how what? I said, how do you have the politicians in the pocket? He goes, we have money. I'm like, you clearly have no fucking idea what Silicon Valley is. They have a lot more money than you. And that's where I get emotional. I get emotional because people hold on to moats that don't exist. If you are not consumer-centric, you will lose. Uber didn't win because they had more money. Uber won because it was better for the consumer. The consumer is the only thing. For me, I obsess over the consumer, for the travel, for the bookstore. If you make it great for the consumer, then you can win, but you can't be delusional. If you sell a book for 30 bucks that Amazon sells for 13, you're gonna find the occasional person that wants that high touch and what have you, but there's no scale in that, and you're gonna lose a lot of people. And business is a tough game, man. Business is not your mommy and daddy. Business is not the government. It's not the education system. Business is an unemotional merit framework, and it is what it is. And so one of the reasons I spend a lot of time thinking about parenting and what I talk about with 8th place trophies is we are grooming zoo animals. We're caging them and protecting them. I don't know if you know what happened back in the day with zoos. They would run animals and then they would put them back in the wild. Those animals died within the first day. Because if you're a zebra chilling in the Bronx Zoo, and then they put you out there in Africa, a lion is eating your ass within a day. This is a big framework for me. The world is obsessed with or, it's and. So yes, of course, just like me, I as a public figure in this digital age am able to bring a lot of awareness to my businesses and the things I do, but my businesses also do their own marketing, right? Winetext.com, you should all sign up, my dad would be pumped. Winetext.com, we market for, because we think it's the best way to buy wine in the world. But I also use my personal brand to bring awareness to it. They both coexist. But the reason you thought that is people in business and in marketing have been infatuated with or because you couldn't afford to do everything back in the day. The newspaper was expensive, the radio was expensive, direct mail was expensive, television ads were expensive. But now it's so low cost. To just give a very tactical nugget, every person here, regardless of what you're passionate about and you want awareness for, being elected as an official, selling something, raising money for a nonprofit, all of you, the number one most important skill in making something happen in the world today is being good at organic social media, period. And people don't see it. The talk I gave this morning at 9 o'clock, they still think commercials are more important. As if any of you watch those. I mean, it's crazy. And so the reason you thought that was we've been taught or. The new world order is and.